You're watching Sky Sports.
Welcome to Race World. In this week's high-octane motorsport show, we bring you round one of the British Drift Championship. Control, power and drivers hanging it on the edge of adhesion. The action comes from Teesside in the northeast of England. And then we continue our coverage of the Dunlop National Rally Championship from Ireland. Part 2 of our look at the Mayo Stages Rally heading your way. Up first then, it's New Age Motorsport. This is the British Drift Championship. Welcome to Teesside and the first round of the 2008 British Drift Championship. The drift scene is rapidly expanding throughout Europe, but particularly in the UK. It's a car control motorsport, the aim of which is for the drivers to get the car around a short circuit sideways with speed, angle, precision, grace, and most importantly, style. The BDC is made up of two classes, the amateur class and the pro-am class, in which the top 16 qualifiers have a knockout twin drift session. First up, and it's the qualifying for the amateur class, for which the top 8 only will qualify for the final, and with a field of 25 competing, it was going to be tough. Over to our commentators, Mark Buckle and Stephen Evans.
So first out was number 10 Roger Cooling, who put together 2 superb runs and set a very healthy score of 154 points.
Then the number 12 car, Nathan Chivers, he put a very good score of 149. And then we had a few people struggling. The dear old wife spinning the car.
And it was Jameson Morgan in the number 16 car who really set the pace, scoring an incredible 166 points over his 2 runs.
John Stevens making the trip up from Essex, putting a very standing score of 164.
Last but not least, Alexis Drew in the number 34 Nissan Safiro, putting on a blistering display to leapfrog Jameson by 10 points and scoring 176 over the 2 runs. And here's confirmation of the top 8 with Alexis now the clear favourite, but with the conditions not set to get any better, that could all be thrown out of the window.
The Pro-Am class was next on track. First up, we have Shane Lynch from the Boys' Own fame, who laid down a good score with a score of 179 over his 2 runs.
Other drivers weren't so lucky. Kev Hughes in the number 4 car, and Stuart Hansford, another driver, struggling with these slippery conditions.
Yeah, Stuart there in the number 6 car really struggling, just couldn't get it together that day. And then we had David Waterworth all the way from Bonnie, Scotland, who was stepping up into the Pro Series from last year, being an amateur, and he put in a very, very respectable 156 score.
And here we have Florin Comalita, who is a Romanian driver, pushing it a little bit too far there and knocking his bumper off on the tyre wall.
Julie Robinson making a welcome return from a 2-year absence in the skyline here, just showing that the ladies can compete with the guys here, putting on an astounding 167. Go on, Julie.
And Matt Carter from Team Green blew the rest of the field away, showing a true masterclass in drifting in these conditions, taking the top spot in qualifying with 180 points from the 2 runs.
Number 16, Chris Bradbury was next, and he went in hard and fast, with his Maragoni tyres, biting through the wet weather conditions. Got a top 5 spot with 175 points.
Next up is Louise Ridley, local lass, taking the step up from the amateurs and scoring 159 to ensure progress into the top 16 finals, which we will see later on.
Bruno Esperanza from Portugal was up next, using his first run just as a teaser, see what the conditions were like. He then went on to score 175 out of his 2 runs.
David Baldwin in the Toyota-powered Nissan Skyline, putting together 2 fantastic runs to score 174 points, putting him into the top 5 of the Pro-Am class.
And then we had Simon Perry coming up in a lurid pink Skyline. Here he is, just showing that it wasn't fluke last year that he was the amateur champion, making it into the pros, qualified with 169 points, putting him in the top 6.
Simon getting some wonderful angle there on that up section of the small track at Teesside.
Here we have the top 16 scoreboard, which will result in the number 1 qualifier versus the number 16 qualifier. As you can see, the top 8 there, very, very close. Even all the way down to 16, only separated by just a few points. It's hard work that day. The weather's set to get much, much worse.
Yeah, it was proper horrendous. I mean, it was fine in the dry, but when the rains come in, it changed all my attack plans of the track, and everything just got really slidey out there, and I'm still amazed we're still in it anyway.
We had a few issues with the oil feed to the turbo. Managed to get a pipe bed for that, changed it, got out, qualified 6th, well happy.
Yeah, superb qualifying. How did you find the track conditions out there?
Very slippery, very slippery.
Now we move over from the small half of the track to the much larger side.
This track a lot more technical for the drivers, and the weather conditions not improving.
Yeah, and first out on the track was number 12, Nathan Chivers. The track very greasy and slippery, of course.
And the idea on this final session, the finals of the top 8 amateurs, the drivers are expected to hit clipping points that we use in drifting. Nathan will just try and get the front of his car there as close as he can to that curb for the first clipping point.
Yeah, a bit away from it there, a bit away. Should have a nice transition there where the car will swap directions. We're running wide, a bit straight there.
And again, straight coming onto that final section. The judges mark down drivers driving the track instead of drifting very badly on the scoring. Nathan there getting a total score of 153 points.
Yeah, Keith Hammond in the number 2 car was much an early favourite in the dry earlier on. Now let's see how he fares in the wet here.
And he's got some reasonable angle as he comes round that first long hairpin and straightens badly.
Manages to pick up the clip there though. He's got a good bit of angle there. Still got a bit of momentum going, nice bit of speed. A little bit of use of the handbrake there just to flick the car back.
And the idea is that the drivers have the car sideways all the way through this section, and some good angle there.
Oh,
and
that's
a good
nice,
transition.
that's nice, that's going to score well. Yeah, 148.
And this is Gareth Manning in car 14. We saw him earlier going backwards during qualifying. Obviously managed to get some good runs together to get into this top 8 final.
Yeah, nice there, all the way to the outside of the track. That's what we like to see. Oh, way off the clip though on the inner corner there. Needs to tighten it up.
And he's got some good angle going into that second hairpin.
Oh, dear.
Losing the angle on that second hairpin.
Yeah, we've got some good angle back on now. Come on, fella, use the pedal on the right.
And Gareth scoring 159 points.
Yeah, now up John Stevens in the car that was painted the night before. It was still tacky and wet when he turned up. Nice and gentle. Not really fast enough. Come on, John, pick the speed up.
But he's got some good angle around that first hairpin, getting nice and tight to the clipping point. Using the handbrake there for the transition to get the front of the car as close as he can to that white line, which is the second of the clipping points.
Yeah, and he's picked his momentum up now. Lovely angle on the way out there. Oh, that's going to be a good run.